Here at home, the U.S. House of Representatives is still without a permanent speaker following House Leader Kevin McCarthy's ousting by GOP lawmakers over a week ago. Now, House Republicans nominating Majority Leader Steve Scalise for the job, but the final vote delayed. It's unclear if he can reach the 217 votes needed to secure the speaker's gavel.
And joining us now is New York Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman. Congressman, thank you so much for being here on GMA3.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So one of the big questions here, I guess, is when you think back to what was happening with Kevin McCarthy at the time, that vote dragged on. Do you expect that to happen this time again?
Well, it's unclear what is going to happen. It's been 9 months of pure chaos and dysfunction on the Republican side. But this new development in Israel just makes it so clear how necessary it is for the Republicans to get their house in order, to elect a speaker so that we can do what we need to do in Congress in order to support our ally Israel in response to those devastating, brutal terrorist attacks.
And that leads to the question, at this moment, can you guys actually get any work done?
No. The rules are pretty clear that until there is an elected speaker, we are not organized. We are not able to pass legislation. So the infighting within the Republican Party, the Republican Civil War, is stopping the United States House of Representatives from doing our job. And they need to figure this out as soon as possible because we have a lot of important work to do. We have a government shutdown in 5 weeks, or a government funding running out in 5 weeks. We have to support Ukraine. We have to support Israel. We have to secure the border. We have a lot of things that we need to do.
Let's talk a little bit about that urgency for Israel, because I know that you and your family were actually there in Tel Aviv when Hamas began attacking Israel. Walk us through your experience. It must have been terrifying.
It was harrowing. We were woken up on Saturday morning at 6:30 by sirens. Luckily, I and my wife, who spent a lot of time in Israel, knew what those were. Our children, of course, did not. And we had to rake everybody up and scramble to an internal stairwell within 90 seconds in order to protect ourselves from the possibility of rockets coming in from Gaza Strip towards Tel Aviv. We did that several more times over the morning and then again in the evening. And it was unquestionably quite traumatic. And it really brings into stark relief exactly what Israelis deal with every day of every year. And it was a jolt and alarming for us, in part because we don't grow up that way. But the trauma that Israelis feel, especially those whose families were so brutally murdered and kidnapped in the South, will remain with them for a very, very long time.
There have been a lot of comments made about the role that the U.S. should play in this conflict. What do you think of all of it? What do you think the answer is?
Hamas executed one of the most brutal terrorist attacks in history, as bad or worse than anything that al-Qaeda did, than anything that ISIS has done. Hamas needs to be eliminated. They are a danger to the security of the free world, and they are also detrimental to the Palestinian people in Gaza, who they have neglected during their 16 years of rule in that area. So the first thing that the United States needs to do, of course, is to work with the Israelis to get out all of the hostages, including potentially American hostages. The second thing that the United States needs to do is make sure that we give Israel anything they need to support their effort to respond to these horrific terrorist attacks from Hamas and to eliminate Hamas from power and, frankly, from organization.
Congressman, there are so many Americans who are still there in Israel. They're unable to get out. What are you hearing from your constituents? And how do we get those Americans out of Israel right now?
I have thousands of constituents, perhaps the most of any district in the country, who remain in Israel unable to get out. The airport is open. There are some airlines, international airlines, who continue to fly. And there have been significant discussions with our State Department to figure out a way to get Americans who want to come home but whose flights have been canceled back to the United States. And I expect that there will be avenues available to do that in very short order.
So many families waiting to get their loved ones home. New York Congressman Dan Goldman, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me again.
Well, hey, Hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.